next guest is amazing. Kelly Standing is an award-winning Chicago-based speaker, speechwriter, and coach. She's the author of I'm Still Standing, How One Woman's Brushes with Death Taught Her How to Live. She says she offers a philosophical roadmap to help us see even our worst experiences in a new light. Thank you so much for coming in. I have to tell you, when I picked up the book and I looked at the back of it and I said, okay, she's been hit by a car, struck by lightning, hanged from a tree, survived a mass murder, and had a major organ removed. I thought, oh, this is fiction. This is not real life.
You wonder if I'm James Fry all over again.
This actually happened to you. And as I read this, I say, it is so amazing to me that you tell your story in such a way as to inspire and don't say, oh, all of these terrible things happened to me and, you know, that's why my life is terrible.
I owe that to my upbringing. My dad, I was hanged from a tree when I was 6 years old. The neighborhood bully used my own jump rope to hang me from a tree by my neck. And my dad made me see, on that day, he decided he was not going to allow his daughter to grow up thinking of herself as a victim, thinking there was a bully behind every tree waiting to hang her from her neck. And instead, he convinced me that I was the luckiest little girl on the block. Not in spite of what had happened, but because of it. This bully threw my doll down in the creek, and she came out all mucky and nasty, and my dad used that as the metaphor for scars and blemishes and that kind of thing make someone more beautiful, not less so. It's your scars that tell your story. You're the luckiest little girl on the block because you have a doll who appears to have birthmarks. And my sister had a birthmark and told everybody that only the coolest kids have birthmarks. So it became the legacy. I just saw bad things as good things for the rest of my life.
You talk a lot about your family and, you know, your mother, who didn't necessarily, she was so afraid that she would outlive her children. And yet through all of these experiences, including when you were very little and hit by a car, it seemed like her worst fears were coming true. But then the way you overcame all of that, I imagine it was just such a proud moment for them both as parents.
Well, they like to see me come through. They're glad that I'm still standing, in keeping with our family name. So yeah, I had tremendous upbringing. That's the thing. My book is really not as much about how often I nearly died, but how I've chosen to live in the face of those things. Because everybody faces adversity, and if you're having a great life, my book sort of helps you figure out what else is on your bucket list and how do you want to be remembered. And if you're having a not so great life, or if you're encountering some adversity, you read my book and you say, ah, she can relate. She's had, you know, health problems and violent crime and the normal things that everybody has, like tight finances or marital.
Well, even the one part where you talk about how, you know, you had an upset stomach after going to Mexico and your daughter announced it to everyone at Sears.
Everyone at Sears were waiting for the car, and yes, she didn't know that there are some things you just don't say. So announcing to everyone that Montezuma's revenge was striking in a big bad way. But, you know, I could choose to cry about that, or I could choose to say, there's a teachable moment. Let's talk about privacy.
Yes. Well, here's what I find interesting is you talk about some of these really heartfelt and painful moments, yet I'm laughing as I'm reading this. There is so much humor in the book, and it's not the things that are happened are humorous, but it's that you look at every experience in life and try to find the happiness and the way to laugh.
The pile of manure. I am like that proverbial kid who's digging and digging, and the person says, "What are you doing?" And he said, "There's got to be a pony in here somewhere." It's an old joke, but it's a philosophy I was raised on. That if things are funny if you see them as funny. If you see them as tragic, it's like the weather. If you decide there is such a thing as bad weather, and I don't believe there is no matter what happens.
And you live in Chicago.
I do. I live in Chicago. You know, my grandmother always said, I grew up in St. Louis, and she would say on a very snowy, icky day, get out there. You're not made of sugar. You won't melt. Rain never mattered. Or in the summer, St. Louis was very, very hot, and she'd say, get out there. You're not made of butter. So there's no such thing in my world. There's no such thing as bad weather, just inadequate shelter and inappropriate clothing. It's a totally different way to look at the world, but if you choose not to see bad, I don't deny that I've been hit by a car or struck by lightning or had catastrophic illness. That's true. And on some level it's tragic, but I don't let it define me. I let it inform me but I don't let it define me or cripple me.
There is so much in here that is just terrific. It's your
Oh,
journey from
thank
sickness
you.
to health, and really, I think more importantly, that journey from being broken on the inside to being really comfortable with yourself. And I think you are inspirational because you're not telling people how to live, but showing them. So it's really great. I am glad you are still standing, and I'm glad you're still writing. It's wonderful. Kelly Standing is going to be signing copies of her book, I'm Still Standing, Tuesday, February 21st at 6:30 at the bookstall. That's at Chestnut Court in Winnetka. If you want to find out more information, you can go to I'mStillStandingBook.com, or we'll link you right there. Go to WGN-TV.com/midday. Next in the Midday Fix, ideas for